Next to me is Dr. Jesse Sannerud. He's a naturopath, and I think today we're going to find out a lot of great stuff and really help our health out. So welcome to lowretraction.com, and thank you for being here today.
Thanks.
Yeah, eating for your climate, I would say, is pretty essential. So it might be summer outside, but if I'm inside all day long, then I'm in winter. So soups and stews for me. This is one of the essential practices of my mentor, or the naturopath who inspired me to become a naturopath, Dr. Mattson, who wrote the books called Eating Alive, and he really breaks it down in his books, so I highly recommend anybody read them. Basically food that grows in the hot sun, so typically tropical fruits. They're high in sugar and they're high in potassium. We consume those, then we essentially tell our bodies that, hey, we're getting enough sunshine, or we tell our kidneys, we're getting enough sunshine, you don't have to work so hard to activate vitamin D. When that happens, then we deplete calcium. So calcium goes down, and people often think, calcium is just for my bones. No, every cell of the body requires calcium. And the mucous membranes really require calcium. So what can happen then is that if we downregulate calcium, then the ileocecal valve, which is the valve between the large intestine and the small intestine, that opens, we got backflow of sewage from the large intestine into the small intestine, and then we get yeast overgrowth and bacterial overgrowth. We got more toxins that then bombard the liver, so it becomes sort of a cycle then of you can bombard your liver from either eating too good or eating too bad. So once again, the bad things, the sugar, the alcohol, the coffee, the chocolate, and the good things would just be not eating for your season. So if you're getting the sunshine, you're getting heat, okay, fine. The potassium and the sugar from the fruit and whatnot, you should be able to manage that. And you can always balance it out with a little bit of sea salt too. That's helpful.
So in summertime, if you do an office job, but you get out quite a bit in the sun and play frisbee with your kids and get to the lake and so on, then you're more in balance and everything should be okay?
Yeah, I would say, just limit maybe not so much tropical fruits, and eating for your location, I think, is also...
So tropical fruits, you're talking like mango and all that stuff, so if we're actually eating what we have here, apples and...
Yeah, berries.
Then that's good.
Fine, yeah.
Okay.
And even in the winter, I mean, it's good to get some berries and whatnot, like some fruits into the system, but you can cook them too, add them to your oatmeal or whatnot, and a little bit of sea salt too will help balance that potassium. So I would,
So would you put sea salt in, say, your oats?
Yeah.
Really?
And I would add a little bit of fat too, because what happens is that for anybody who is concerned with high cholesterol, then that little bit of fat that you add with it, that's going to help your liver and your gallbladder flush out the bad cholesterol, but that could be reabsorbed if it doesn't have something to bind to. So a fiber like oats will be fantastic, go bind to that, and then you just poop it out.
So a good fat is what qualifies as a good fat?
So I would say that's your coconut oil, your avocado, but careful with the avocado then with the sunshine and all that.
Right.
Butter, like a grass-fed butter. If you can get yourself a pure olive oil, that would be great. And fish, particularly wild ocean fish, cod liver oil, especially for people who are taking vitamin D. Just because I find, well, first of all, there's no replacement for the sun. Getting good skin exposure to sunlight is essential, but it can be a benefit to getting the vitamin D in a bottle, but if you're getting it the way Mother Nature made it, that would be through cod liver oil. So you're getting all the other nutrients that originally came with it. You're not getting something that's been just made in a lab or extracted. Yeah. So when it comes to coffee, I try to wean people off. We're trying to get better, and it doesn't matter if it's decaf or regular. I work with it that way. Now what you can do is, people have come up with some ingenious ways of trying to get around that by adding reishi mushroom to your coffee, which is great for detoxifying the liver. Also is great for reducing inflammation, which coffee is in general, and coffee causes inflammation. Any ailment in the body usually has some form of inflammation associated with it. So another reason why I would say, yeah, try and wean yourself off the coffee if you can, and once things are working back in functional order, then enjoy it once in a while from time to time.
So, yeah, there's a lot of processed foods, and even I noticed in the organic stores they have processed foods. Is that in general, overall, anywhere processed foods are not good?
Yeah, I generally say if they didn't have it 100 years ago, don't eat it. Eat food as Mother Nature made it. We think we're pretty ingenious and we can, outsmart Mother Nature, but I think it's come back to bite us. And yeah, eating just clean, non-GMO, it's sort of just common sense stuff. Eat it as if you could pick it yourself, would be the way to go. In terms of other processed foods in organic food stores, often, like even say gluten-free stuff, and it's often loaded with sugar. And so it's all marketing. It's just, hey, this looks healthier and it's tasty, so choose this. But if it's loaded with sugar, it doesn't matter. You're just going to create inflammation from all the sugar, and that's going to have all its effects. And somewhere unique to the individual, that's where symptoms will arise over time.
I've heard about nootropics, which is taking like things like DHA, Q10, carnitine. And all these are interrelated with each other to really help the brain function a lot better.
Well, when it comes to supplementation, you don't know unless you try it. The question to ask yourself is, how do you feel when you take it? If you don't notice a difference and you've been taking it a month or two, it's probably not of any real benefit, or it's not going to bring about healing. And some things people may feel better while they take, but when they stop taking it, then they revert. And those can be of great assistance, but they're still not bringing about healing. Anytime there's been any kind of trauma, which is a very subjective term, what rolls off the back of one person could make another person fall dead. So anytime there's trauma, that can weaken the vital force. And when the vital force becomes weakened, then often you'll see symptoms arise in one of those three areas that I had mentioned. And so that can get back to the root cause. Maybe it had to do with an emotional response or false belief leading to a particular reaction to a circumstance that caused stress and brought about certain symptoms. I see iodine deficiency a lot. I see a lot of stress. It's just the way that we live. I do a lot of just mental health and mindfulness. I'd say 99% of the time there's always an emotional aspect. Now, it doesn't mean that the stress is what's primary right now, but it's there under the surface. And the more that we just sort of work at the whole system, be it mental, emotional, and stress, and biochemical and whatnot, then the more successful, or more chance of success that we'll have in healing whatever the condition is.
Right.
A really excellent book to read at this point in time is called Grain Brain by Dr. Perlmutter. He's a neurologist and just gives a good look at carbohydrates, sugar, and he takes a ketogenic approach, which to me, I just say, not for everybody. The ketogenic diet is basically a diet that allows one to run on ketones rather than just glucose, and it comes through periods of fasting. but you can get into a nutritional ketotic state by having a very low carbohydrate diet. I would say limit your simple carbohydrates. That would be essentials, and that's like the white flours and the potatoes, and just go more complex carbohydrates, because those molecules, we run on glucose attached to another glucose molecule, and these the complex carbohydrates, they take more time to break down to glucose
Right.
rather than the simple ones, so you're not spiking your blood sugar so quickly. And as we've talked about earlier, sugar is inflammatory, and my belief is that most of our ailments are linked to just excess sugar consumption.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there any final words you'd like to put out? Do you have a website, and maybe you can tell people your location and where you're working right now?
Yeah, my website is theNaturedoctor.ca, and my clinic name is Stony Plain Naturopathic Clinic here in Stony Plain, Alberta. I would say eat to live rather than live to eat. All good things in moderation. When it comes to stress, I would say love your pain. That may sound a bit hokey, but I would say love your pain like it's a newborn baby, because newborn babies have this constant need for attention, and there's nothing you can do but nurture them, cradle them, do whatever you can to give them that love. And if you can look at your pain that same way, then pain being the stress, that whatever it is that you're experiencing, then you can totally put it in its place and empower yourself, and let it take a back seat in your life.